everybody and welcome to the channel bobsales this times next year. So sorry about the delay in part 2, but this is going to be part 2 of the animation video. So again, to start this video off, if you didn't see part 1 you probably should go and watch it, but we'll explain the criteria again and then we'll start the list again, shall we? So the first criteria is the animation quality. Of course, this is everything related to the animation itself, how smooth it is, stuff like that. Then we have the animation sound. Of course, if it has no sound, it's going to get a minus. If it has good sound, like a good roar, if it has an engine sound or something like that, which I know most of the cars on Veve don't, the points will vary based on that. The next one's the character, the IP likeness. How good, how much does the item look like the character? How much does it look like the object? And this is from a personal point of view, the IP, like as in money wise, this is based on how I personally think the IP is to myself. So the next one's bonus points. So with bonus points, as I say, that can be anything from anything extra we didn't know we were going to have with the NFT and stuff like that. So there can be bonus points for the train, for instance, because obviously the train has a lot of bells and whistles and it drives and a lot of other stuff with that. That is a great NFT. So next we're going to talk about the fun factor. How fun is the NFT? How fun is it? So with some of them, as I say, you can drive them. Some of them you can just take pictures with them. Some of them do different things. Are they cool? Are they fun? How fun are they? The next one's obviously the end score. How much did it total? So at the end of the video, this video will go through the end of the total. I will actually start this video with the end of part 1 totals, if that makes any sort of sense whatsoever right there. But yeah, we'll calculate part 1 first, and then we'll do part 2, and then we'll calculate both together, and we'll see who won in my eyes. Which, I'm going to say, there's some shocking ones here, what I didn't expect. So as I looked at the points from last week's one, I was kind of shocked to see which ones come on top. I did not expect the results as they were. So anyway, with all that being said, there has been some giveaways we need to do, because I was actually supposed to celebrate my 100th stream like 2 weeks ago. I'm probably about 115 videos in at this point now. So I'm very delayed on that. So the first one I'm going to give out is this. That is going to be my first one. So this is going to be a pop toy. And obviously it's got a t-shirt in there. I think the t-shirt's large. And it's got a little miniature pop in there. I don't know if you can see that. I'm very awkward at doing this on camera. But as you can see, it's brand new. And yeah, so that's going to be the first prize. That's all you need to do. Just name one of them comics over there, and then you'll be entered into the giveaway. I shall spin the wheel after I've received enough comments, and then I'll let you know who's won. I have got a Pokemon card I'm going to give out as well. There was a similar one up there, but I've actually moved all my stuff, so it's not actually there at the minute. But I have actually got 2 of them, so I'm going to give one of them away as well. And it is actually a Charizard. It's not the most valuable Charizard in the world, but I actually got it with a deal with my actual Pokemon Pikachu up here. So I actually got it with a deal with this Pikachu here. I've actually got 3 of these little items here, and I think these items here were about £40 themselves, which is English money, by the way. So it's about £40 itself, and with the purchase of this you actually got some Pokemon Charizards with it, which not a lot of people will think to get graded, so it might be worth keeping just for that reason. Plus I did just want the Pikachus. I also bought one of them for a gift, and I've also sold 2 on. So it weren't too much of a bad deal in that sense. So anyway, without further ado, enter in the comment sections to win, or for your chance to win. So with all that being said, let's get back into the animation. So for the first part of this video, the results are actually a bit different to what I expected. The Aston Martin's actually sitting at 31. The T-Rex is sitting at 39. Boba Fett is sitting at 48. The Locomotive is sitting at 40. Kit is sitting at 42, Hulk is sitting at 48, and Miles is sitting at 36. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the result so far. So with that being said, let's get into the next animation for the next part of this video. So the next animation we're going to take a look at on the list is Mickey Mouse. Steamboat Mickey. Of course, Steamboat Mickey had to be on this list. So with the animation quality, it's actually a really quality collectible. It does look exactly how it should, although it does look a bit plain at the same time. But this was the first Mickey cartoon to exist, and one of the first animations to exist. Now looking at the quality of the NFT, I'm actually going to give it an 8, because it does look solid, but at the same time it don't actually have the whistling action, which of course is supposedly uncommon in Veve. So the animation sound, it does have the jaunty jig song, You can hear the steamboat going in the back. So I'm going to give the animation sound a good 7. Character IP likeness, now I'm definitely going to give this a 10 out of 10. Obviously this is Mickey Mouse, you can clearly see that. Again, the IP rating, it is Disney, it is Mickey Mouse, it is the first Mickey Mouse, so I'm actually going to give that a 10 as well. Now bonus points for this one, I'm actually going to give it 3 bonus points because of the significance of the piece itself. I do think it's very underrated and I do think it will have its time again. So the fun factor for this one, I've seen a lot of people use this one in AR, but it is again a bit simple. So I'm going to give this one a 7 for the fun fact. So that leaves Steamboat Mickey with a score of... So next we're going to take a look at one of the other underrated animations on the app, and this is Dr. Octavius, also known as Dr. Octopus. Now this one's never really had its time in the app, never really had a good price. So the animation quality itself, I'm actually going to give the animation quality a 7 on this one. The animation quality is really good, but I do think they could have done a bit more with it. Now the animation sound on this one, there is actually no sound. So that definitely gets a big fat 0. Now the character item likeness, I would actually give this one a 7. It doesn't look exactly like Dr. Octavius in any film or any comic book we've seen, but it does look like a reimagination of the movie one. IP wise, this is Marvel, but like I said in the first video, I'm actually going to give that a 9 because Marvel's starting to go downhill a bit in the MCU. Bonus points for this one, I'm not going to give it any bonus points at all. And the fun factor, I believe it's quite fun, so I'm going to give this one a 7. So the next one on my list is personally one of my favourites. This is the chicken from Disney's Mona. Now I do remember the chicken from the film and it was actually one of the best parts of the film. I would compare it to the squirrel in Ice Age show Scrap, which fun fact, I used to have a cat named after Scrap. So the animation quality on this, I do like the stone, the swallowing of the stone, the choking, the sound, everything on this. So I'm actually going to give the animation quality on this a 10. Now the animation sound is really good. I do actually like the sound. They could have added a bit more, but I do like the sound. It was surprisingly good, so I'm going to give the sound an 8. Character item likeness, of course, this has got to be a 10 because it's exactly how it should be. Now the IP rating, of course, it is Disney again, and it is Mona. Mona is a really big film. Maybe not so much in England, but it's definitely a big film. So I'm going to give the IP rating, obviously, a 10. Now for bonus points, I do believe I'm going to give it 2, just because I believe it does deserve some. It is a great animation on this one, and it looks exactly how it should. Sounds great. So I think that leads us on to the fun factor. So with the fun factor, I'm actually going to give this one an 8 because this is a really good fun factor. I believe you can have a lot of fun with this chicken. So with that being said, the final score for He Hate is... So one of the things I would say is, where's Chicken Joe from Surf's Up? So the next Veve collectible on the list would be DC's Swamp Thing. And again, personally, this is one of my favourites on the list. With the animation itself, I'm actually going to give the animation a 10. You've got the roar, you've got the movements, you've got the little butterflies where the flower petals off the side of the shoulders. You've also got running water underneath the statue. Again, with the animation sound, there could have been more. So I'm going to give this one an 8 because I do think the roar was actually a really good roar. So the character item likeness, again, I'm going to give this one a 10 because this one's spot on to the TV show. It was a brand new TV show and it was pretty good for what it was. We tend to see that with the DC collectibles on Veve, they are really good quality for what we get. So for the IP rating, again, this is DC, this is Swamp Thing. I do reckon I'm going to give this IP rating a 9. Wasn't the biggest IP, not many people knew what Swamp Thing was at the time, but again, it is DC, so it is worthy of the point. Now the bonus rating for this one, I'm actually going to give it a 3 because the roar was quite frightening when you first see it. I actually jumped when I first see this. It was quite funny. The animation, the water, none of it was actually spotted until you had a closer look at the item itself. Now the fun rating, as you can see with this one, I've actually used it myself many a times for fun shorts and stuff. So I'm actually going to give the fun rating a 9 out of 10. So with that being said, Swamp Thing got... So the next one on the list is the Emperor's Fist, which is Darth Vader. Of course, this is the animated ultra rare variant. and it's currently sitting at 400 gems in the app. So with this one, on the animation quality, I'm actually going to give it a 9 because the animation's pretty sweet. There could have been more to it, but the animation definitely matches the Obi-Wan series. The next one, the sound. Now sound is actually spot on. The breathing, the sword, everything sounds really good. There could have been more to the sound, maybe some speech, but I think I'm going to give the sound a 10 because it is perfect. Again, character item likeness. This does look like Darth Vader. It is a very good collectible, but again, we don't see any facial features. It does look like it should. So I think I'm going to give this one a 10 because it does look like it should. Now the IP rating, I did say this is from my personal point of view, but I can see a lot of people like Star Wars and it is very sought after. So I'm definitely going to give it a 10. And of course, this is Darth Vader. So the bonus points in this one, I think I'm going to give it bonus points for the sound overall. So I'm actually going to give it 2 points bonus. So that leaves Darth Vader with a score of, and I have actually missed out fun factor there. So I'm actually going to give it a 7 for fun.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
So we definitely can't make this list without the Cookie Monster being on it. So as you know, the Cookie Monster animation is very nice and it's actually one of the longest animations we have in the app. So for animation quality, I'm actually going to give this one a 10. There's a lot going on from baking the cookies to eating the cookies to the sound to the whole repeat of the system. So the animation sound itself, again, there is talking with this one. And it does sound like the Cookie Monster. And there's eating. Obviously, the oven makes sound as well. So yeah, I'm going to give the sound a 10 on this one. Now, character item likeness, I am actually going to give this one an 8 because I do believe we could have had a bit more details to the fur on this one. But again, it does look like the Cookie Monster. Now, if this app was for children, I'd give the IP rating a 10. But the app is not for children, it's for over 18s. So with that being said, I think Veve missed the mark with this IP. I'm not 100% sure we should have ever got this IP, but there again, a lot of people did grow up to this in the 1970s even. Well, obviously, if you want the history, just go back and watch the video about that. So for the IP rating itself and the audience that it's sold to, I'm actually going to give this one a 7. Now, bonus points, I am going to give this one 2 bonus points just because of the length of the animation. Now, the fun factor, I'm actually going to put this one at a 7 because you can use this at kids' parties and stuff like that. So that would leave the Cookie Monster with a score of... So the next collectible I want to talk about is Rambo. So Rambo is actually a really good quality item and it's actually going under retail right now. I think it's sitting at 34 gems. So for the animation quality, I'm actually going to give the animation quality a 9. I do like the animation. I think it's pretty smooth. And I do like the fact that the arrow stays in whatever it's shot into. Now the animation sound, there's not a lot going on with the sound here. There is the arrow, there is reloading. So I think I'm going to give the sound a 7 for what it is. The next one's obviously the item likeness, the character likeness, and I would say this looks like it's Rambo. With that being said, I do think it could have been made a tiny little bit better, so I'm actually going to give this one an 8. So the IP is actually Studio Canal, which actually does a lot of these sort of movies back in the day. There's actually a streaming channel with just these movies. Again, with the IP, I am actually including the fact that it's Rambo in there. So I'm actually going to give this IP a surprising 7. So the next one's the bonus points. Does Rambo get any bonus points? Well, I believe he should get some bonus points because I don't think anyone thought that arrow would stay in any wall or wherever it was shot. I didn't expect that whatsoever. So I'm definitely going to give Rambo 5 bonus points just for that fact. Overall fun factor, I do believe Rambo's pretty fun to use in AR and play with, so I'm actually going to give it an 8. So that leaves Rambo with a total score of... So I think last but not least, we'll do Robocop. So with this one, the animation quality is really good. The gun action's really smooth. The twizzling's really smooth, but there could have been more to it. So I'm going to give this one a 9. Now the sound quality itself, I'm actually going to give it an 8 because there's not much sound, but it sounds how it should. But I do think they could have added some voice. The next one's the character, the item likeness. Again, I am going to give this a 10 because it does look like the original Robocop. IP rating for me, again, there's nostalgia attached to this one. I am actually going to give this one a 7 because it is MGM, it is a famous character, but the IP I think is a bit dead. Now bonus points for this one, I'm definitely going to give it 2 bonus points because the gun action is really smooth. I do like the way it pops out the legs, so yeah, I'm definitely going to give it some bonus points. Now the fun factor, I'm actually going to give it a 7 because there's not much fun with this one really. I don't see a lot posting with it. Again, it is one action, but after putting the gun out, you can't exactly hold the gun out. There's no commands, there's no voice. So I think that's why it gets that score. So that leaves Robocop with a score of... So unfortunately, folks, that is going to be the last animation for this part of the video. I am actually going to total up all them scores now. I do realise I've missed so many animations in the app, but there's only so many I was willing to put on the list. And again, the judging criteria and the point system is very personal to the person themselves. So I definitely do expect everyone to get different answers. With that being said, let's see what surprises are in store with the scores. So as you've just seen, all the old scores were flashing up from part 1. So I'm going to read you part 2 and then we'll see. Steamboat Willie actually scored 45. Swamp Thing's on 49. Cookie Monster's on 44, Robocop's on 43, Rambo's on 44, Dr. Ock is on 30, Hee or Hee or whatever it is, the chicken from Mona is 48, but I do know Darth is also 48. So taking a look at the final result, Swamp Thing actually come top with 49. Boba Fett actually come to 48, Hee come to 48, and Darth come to 48. So we've got 3 joint seconds. So the overall loser of the bunch was actually Doc Ock, sitting at 30 points only. Now just above that is actually the Aston Martin, sitting at 31 points. Now you could be thinking that's a bit mad, but I did have one of the criterias as sound. There is no sound. No sound to the guns, no sound to the engines, which I think is a common theme here, has hurt the vehicles a lot. I think if the sound was intact, I think the train from Back to the Future would be one of the top. In another month or 2, I will do another couple of parts of this and we will try all this again.
Okay, my last question. This is probably going to be the most simplest one for you to answer, but what if you're wrong?
Well, what if I'm wrong? I mean, anybody could be wrong. We could all be wrong about the flying spaghetti monster and the pink unicorn and the flying teapot.
Well, as always, I've been your host, Bob Sales. This time next year, we will be millionaires. A peace.